Elrond struggles to stay true to his oath. Halbrand weighs his destiny, and the Southlands brace for attack. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve from VALHARTV, and today I'll be reviewing Rings of Power Episode 5. So, last episode we got a break from the Harfoots, and this episode we start out with them. So, Nori is speaking to the stranger about their migration. And Nori points out that there's plenty of dangers along the way, and we should, and that's why they're migrating, because they go from, like, winter from one place to, like, another place as they're going around. And the stranger is like, danger. She uses a specific word, and she's like, danger, and she's like, no, you're not dangerous, you're good. And he's like, I'm good, because he's been learning their language, because there is no concept of time in this series. It's got to be months now, because when they show the map and them traveling along it, it's got to take months, you know what I mean, for them just to go place to place, really, or weeks, days, but there's no concept of time. So I've been taking it as, like, months, like, have passed, because, we see later on that Adar learns that the tunnel has been completed, and he tells his subordinate to summon the legions. Now, legions are more than 500, I believe. I could be wrong. But getting back to Nori and them, they're really very inconsistent, just like the orcs and stuff in this. And even the elves kind of are not very good people in this episode. They, as they're going along, they go into this forest where they see wolf tracks, and they basically point out it's wolf tracks. You kind of know it is, but they also go talk to the one head Harfoot, and the one lady is like, you should have just taken their wagons and left them behind. And I'm like, didn't they just sing a song saying that not everybody's lost is, our wanders is lost, and, you don't leave people behind? And yet they're saying, oh, let's just leave these people behind because this forest should have a lot more, game in it and stuff. And I was just like, that makes no sense. You're saying that you don't leave people behind, but then you're talking about leaving people behind. I'm like, make up your mind here. This is shoddy writing, honestly. And again, we go to Adar, but then Bronwyn speaks to the people and admits that they need to stand and fight, But then there's this old guy who is like, no, follow me. This is how we survive. And he tries to get Theo to go with him because it's their time to go and pledge their allegiance to Sauron. And so he takes his group and they to Adar, and they bend the knee. And in this episode, there looks like there's a lot more than 500 orcs, so we'll end up finding out at some point. But Adar makes the old man kill one of the group, and just to prove his loyalty and stuff. So I thought that was very interesting, where he's like, oh, what, really? And then he's like, yeah, okay, cool, because I'm a follower of Sauron. And then we end up learning from Theo and Arendir that the hilt is, they've seen it, it's on a wall right there 3 feet from them, so it's kind of funny, but that this is some type of key, and that they need to kind of keep it away from Adar in them, because it will probably allow them to do something. I think, personally, I think it's to bring Sauron back or whatever, but we don't really know if he's gone actually or not. So then we cut to Numenor, and several things happen in Numenor. The Numenorian soldiers practice, and then Galadriel comes up and decides to personally step up and show them how it's really done, because she's really good at this kind of stuff. So, yes, I can see where people think this is really bad, because she pretty much is like, I'm better than you, and then when she's fighting, she doesn't break a sweat, but she's also a elf. Like a high elf, so she's gonna have more dexterity than everybody else. But at the same time, she's using it to try to teach these kids, and that's what they are. They're kids, you know, they're a volunteer army. And she's trying to teach them certain things that they really kind of need to know that's going to help them in battle, you know. So she's like, you know, use your feet, not your arms when you're fighting. She's like, I'm going to keep this super simple. You stab an orc, twist and pull out, and they're done, and all this stuff. But she does it in a way there is some flair to it, but there's also, I'm just better, and I'm going to show you how it's done because I'm just better. So it's a double-edged sword with this. I kind of liked this whole scene because of the fact that it was kind of cool, where she's dancing around, she's trying to teach them stuff, but she's doing it as well as being like, haha, check me out, I'm just way better than you guys. Sucks to be you, right? So I was like, oh, I like it, but I don't like it, you know? And it's really kind of interesting how they did this. So I would say I kind of like that scene. But then we go to Phazon, who tells his son that the tide may rise and drown a man, or fall and sweep him out to sea. And this is kind of where we find out that Phazon is plotting to get like a lot of resources from Middle Earth after the war, like after they put Halbrand in as king. You know, that the elves are going to take orders from him, from them, the Numenorians and all that. And we see that Kamen doesn't like that. Kamen doesn't. So he goes and tries to sabotage ships, which he gets 2 of the ships. It blows them up and stuff. So that's very interesting. But then we, throughout this, we have Halbrand and Galadriel, where they have a couple different times where they clash about Halbrand leaving Numenor. And at one point, Galadriel had told that Muriel that Halbrand was on board with this, that he's going to go with him, and he's like, no, I'm not. I told you I was going to stay here. And then later on, they talk about how, like, she can't stop fighting, and that's why she keeps doing this, and that he needs to help her out, so that way she can get back to Middle Earth and stop the darkness from spreading, stop Sauron, and that he's going to, so he could become king. And he's wishy-washy about it and stuff, but, it's really kind of, they're arguing for argument's sake just to bring kind of conflict. But, we see at the end that he does go with her. So, but the best scene, like the best scenes in this episode were, again, with Elrond and Durin. So Durin's sitting down with the High King and Elrond and Celebrimbor, talking about, their alliance and stuff. And the High King is like, so, Khazad-dûm has been kind of quiet for a while, but now all of a sudden the forges are like, pumping out a lot of stuff. He's like, what's going on? And this is where Elrond's like, wait, what's going on here? And Durin changes the subject, but turns the tides on the High King, where he's like, I got an honest question for you. He's like, this table, where did you get it? Because this stone is kind of sacred to the dwarves. It's deep down, and reserve it for tombs and monuments, statues, and things like that. And I was like, oh, snap. I'm like, this is crazy. So the High King is like, yeah, well, okay, we'll send it home with you, because we didn't know that it was like that. And, later on we find out that he made it all up. He lied about it, which is even better. But this is also where Elrond learns that he was being used by the High King and Celebrimbor, because we find out the rewritten history of Mithril came from a tree that a soldier was fighting over with a Balrog over, and it was apparently the last Silmarillion that when the lightning struck it, created Mithril. So I was like, that's kind of interesting to see, I'm like, but I mean, that's not really how it was made. It was just a metal, and so they need it in order to save their immortal souls. So Elrond has to talk to Durin about that, and Durin's like, just give me the meat of it. I don't care about anything else. What's going on? He's like, so the elves' fates are in whose hands? And he makes Elrond like say it a couple of times, and I think it's hilarious. and everything. So, again, yeah, the episode ends with the Numenorians setting sail to Middle Earth on this. So, I thought that was extremely interesting and kind of cool. But again, Elrond and Durin on this made the episode. So I would give this. I mean, it wasn't the worst episode out of all of them. Well, it was. It was the worst episode out of all 5 so far. But it wasn't really like a really terrible episode either. I would at least give it a 5.5, 6 out of 10, easily. Honestly, I like House of the Dragon better than this, but I mean, maybe it'll get better, but Galadriel's still not very likable, and she's the main character, which is not good. Your likable characters are Elrond and Durin, when they're actually have playful banter back and forth. So, I mean, yeah, we'll see what happens in the next episode. If you guys like what I do, please hit the like button and subscribe. And leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought about this episode. Take care for now, everyone.